Alright, today we're going to learn about the wireless transmitter kit that we have that comes with a monitor. It is the FeelWorld 7 monitor. Let's just look into the kit and see what it comes with. The first thing it comes with is the actual monitor. This is a 7-inch monitor from a brand called FeelWorld, and it comes with a small rig cage that you can screw things into and whatnot, and 2 handles. There's a neck strap attachment that will hook onto the handles if you want to wear the monitor like a necklace and go hands-free as you talk to your actors or do whatever you have to do. On the back of the monitor is the receiver from DJI. It's called the DJI SDR wireless transmitter kit. It stays affixed to the back of the monitor, so you don't really need to mess with that. There's also a mounting accessory that can screw into the cage of the camera. You can mount it onto any type of stand or a C-stand or what have you if you're first AC and you're pulling focus with the wireless focus pull and you don't have the hands to hold the monitor and pull focus. It's a way to make this monitor hands-free if you need that freedom. You have the an ability to power it just by plugging it into the wall. It's just a normal DC power plug that plugs into the bottom of the monitor. It comes with 2 cables, one SDI cable, as well as one HDMI cable. There's one of each. We're going to get into our options that we have, including those. You also have a magic arm where you're going to screw the camera transmitter on one side and then screw it into the camera on the other side. It's just a way to mount something to either a camera or a stand or however you're going to end up using this. We have the transmitter, so this is going to go on the camera, send the signal wirelessly to the receiver on the monitor. We'll get into that in a second. We have 3 batteries. You're going to have one hefty battery, then 2 of these small ones. These are Sony batteries. The way I would use these is that I would use the large one on the monitor, and it will power both the monitor and the receiver. This should power both the monitor and the transmitter together. This combo here, it should power both of those for anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. So the transmitter will actually run on these small batteries for about 6 hours. Then along with that, to finish this out, is a battery charger that will charge 2 of these batteries that we have included. USB, find some way to plug that in for yourself. Okay, so I'm going to set this up for a Blackmagic 6K, but you can use this with an Ursa. You can use this entire system basically with any camera. There's some flexibility. So because I'm going to use it with a 6K, 6K has an HDMI output, so we need to make sure we use the HDMI cord to set up our transmitter. I'm going to go ahead and before I plug it in, I'm going to screw it into my mounting magic arm. You see how there's kind of 3 points right here. If you look at the bottom of this mount, you see those things go in here. It's so that this thing doesn't spin in place. For the 6K cage, you kind of have quite a few mounting options of where you can put this. The only thing that's really important to think about is that our HDMI port is on this side. So I kind of just want to set it up on this side. You have a little bit of flexibility and freedom where you want to mount it, but really you just screw that in. And then now you can just kind of arrange it to how you want. I'm going to plug in my HDMI cable into the camera here, and then it is underneath the antenna here. And now we are connected. On the transmitter, there are 4 antennas that need to pop up in order for it to work effectively. So pop those out. What's important to know is that these antennas are not replaceable. So if you break them, and they're kind of fragile feeling, if you break them, you have to replace the whole device. It's kind of a stupid design flaw, but it is part of the system. But once it's plugged in and mounted, you just need to put a battery on it that slips right on the back, just like any other thing that takes these batteries. And then we're going to just simply turn it on. On the side of the device is a on and off switch, and then a pairing. There's also a USB-C and a lightning port here. These bottom 3 things you're never going to really need. It's just this pairing button and this on and off switch that we'll need. Alright, so our monitor, in order to get it ready to go, we need to put its battery on. So we have the large Sony battery that will just flop into place. But what we need to do is connect this. Even though it's hard mounted to the monitor, it's not connected yet. So we've used our HDMI cable on the camera, so the only cable we have left is the SDI, so that's what we're going to use, right? If you have to use the SDI cable on your camera, then you can use the HDMI to connect this to the monitor. On the side of it, we have both an HDMI port and under this cap, an SDI port. It is SDI out of the receiver and then into the monitor. So make sure SDI out of the receiver and then SDI in here to the monitor. And then what we need to do is make sure that this is paired to the transmitter. So all we have to do is on the side of it, this chain link button, this is our pairing button. We're going to press and hold it until the device says pairing or linking, and then do the same thing on this device over here. Press and hold the pairing linking button, and it's going to do the same thing. And then it takes kind of less than a second. Once both of them are looking for each other, they find each other really quickly and they pair together, right? On the monitor, there's buttons on top, but the power button is actually sneaky on the top left, and it's a press and hold. So once you press and hold it, the monitor is going to fire up. So once the devices are paired and you turn the monitor on, it should just pop up, but sometimes there is an issue, and this is what it is. This says HDMI, no signal, but we're actually plugged in using an HDMI, so we need to press F1 here at the top left of the monitor. If you hit that, it'll change your input to SDI, and voila, look. So now you have an external monitor that you can just carry around with a neck strap or just with your hands or whatever you want. What I really love about this system is that it'll also broadcast to phones or iPads or whatever you want. If you download the DJI Ronin app in SDR, there's kind of options here for which system you're playing with, but we're doing the DJI SDR transmission, and hit connect. It'll ask you to scan a QR code, and if you bring your transmitter back over, you can see that on the side of the transmitter, kind of under one of the antennas, is the QR code. Or if you swipe from left to right, it'll also bring up the QR code. We will scan that code and say join, and then on our phone, it should kind of auto connect. Now, we also have a monitor completely working on our phones. You can use two phones or two mobile devices through the app and one transmitter. Now, on your phone, it has a little more latency, a little more lag to it. I think they said 80 milliseconds using the transmitter, 100 milliseconds using the app. So the advantage of this is while the director can kind of have the big monitor and keep it with them, the gaffer who's looking at lighting has access to their own monitor, or the production designer has access to their own monitor, or the script supervisor who needs to watch every take has access to their own monitor, simply using their own device or their phone if the monitor is kind of being held by someone else. Sometimes it's really annoying when you're shaping the light or doing the production design if you don't have access to a monitor. This just kind of gives more access to everyone, not only through this one monitor, but through everyone's own devices as well. It's a huge, huge benefit to have on set. That being said, I do have to walk you through the transmitter has a menu system. I really don't want you to touch any of these things, but there are a couple things that you need to know if you need to be able to troubleshoot if something breaks or stops working on set. So if you swipe left to right, that brings up the QR code to skip. If you swipe from down to up, this gives you the different channels. So basically, if the transmission feels off, you can kind of switch the channels on both of them. I would just like leave it on the channel it starts on when they auto link and not play with that unless you're encountering problems on set because you're working in a place with a lot of frequencies. Then you could attempt to channel scan. The other thing is the main menu comes up from swiping up to down, and there's device numbers. So if you have a lot of these on set, you can name them. There's Wi-Fi. Let's look into this. So you go to the Wi-Fi icon and you press it. If you need to make sure this is on for people to be able to use their phones. If this is off, then it won't broadcast to people's phones using the app. So if you're on set and you can get the monitor to work, you can't get people's phones to work, look at this. This is the one thing that you can kind of come into and fix. So it's the Wi-Fi, and then we need to press on. And that's really the only thing I want you playing with in the menu system. There's a couple of other things. There's broadcast options and audio options, and then brightness and the fan mode of the actual devices. Some options for the color bars, in the language and the device info. We kind of have these settings dialed in, and I don't want you to mess with them, but the one thing that you do need to know about is the Wi-Fi options. If you can't get the apps to work, you can go ahead and look in here and see and make sure that this is turned on, okay? Other than that, these are really awesome devices that really help everyone be able to tap into the feed of the camera and make sure that they're fully bought in as a team, looking at their specific details that they need to be looking at. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is the actual monitor and the way that it works and its options and settings. On the top right is the menu. It's a wheel, so it goes back and forth. If you just wheel this back and forth, it's the brightness. But if you press it down once, you get some menu options. And if you press and hold it, those go away. But then if you press and hold the top menu button, you get a secondary menu. This is all touchscreen as well. So you have focus assist and focus color and zebras, as well as safety markers, a whole menu system of stuff to go through. You can flip the screen if things are going upside down, if you need to use anamorphic mode at all. You can turn on your scopes, your vector scope, your histogram, all of those things. You can change even the color settings of the monitor itself. There's just quite a few optionalities within this. You can also, on the top left, there's F1, F2, F3 buttons. You can change those settings in the settings. So F1 here is input, F2 is focus assist, F3 is false colored. You can change those if you want to, but that's really the defaults. Everything's touchscreen, so there's a pinch to zoom option as well. And then instead of pressing and holding, you can also double tap and the menu system will come up as well. Hopefully adding this system to your set can really just improve the efficiency of the way everyone's working. It's just everything's a lot easier if more eyes have access to the actual feed. What's being recorded? What is the frame? That's all I have. Good luck on your shoot.